Good evening, and welcome to KJTV News. We begin with a dramatic and shocking incident at Toronto Pearson International Airport, where a Delta Airlines passenger plane crash-landed and flipped upside down during heavy snowfall and strong winds. Miraculously, all 80 people on board survived, though several were injured. Emergency responders acted swiftly to evacuate passengers and prevent further casualties. Delta Flight 4819 took off from Minneapolis, Minnesota at 11:47 a.m. local time, making its way toward Toronto at an altitude of 29,000 feet. As the plane neared its destination, it was directed to land on runway 23 around 15 p.m. Air traffic controllers had warned the pilots of potential turbulence caused by the wake of another aircraft ahead of them. However, there was no further communication from the flight crew before the crash occurred. Moments later, the control tower confirmed that the aircraft had overturned upon landing. Eyewitnesses at the airport described the terrifying scene as the plane came to a halt, resting on its roof amid snow-covered ground. Passengers were seen emerging from the wreckage, shielding their faces from the harsh wind gusts. One survivor, Pete Cowcorf, recounted the experience, saying, "At first, I didn't even realize something was wrong. But then, we hit the ground, went sideways, and suddenly we were upside down. It was surreal. I just feel lucky to be alive, and was able to hug the stranger sitting next to me after we got out." There were a total of 80 individuals on board, including 76 passengers and 4 crew members. Among them, at least 18 sustained injuries. 3 people, a child, a man in his 60s, and a woman in her 40s, were transported to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Fortunately, medical professionals have confirmed that none of the injuries are life-threatening. Emergency teams at Toronto Pearson Airport responded quickly. Emergency teams swiftly evacuated passengers and provided medical aid after the crash. Toronto Pearson Airport President Deborah Flint praised first responders, crediting them for preventing fatalities. Investigators are examining the cause, with experts pointing to harsh weather, strong winds of 60 kilometers per hour, and freezing temperatures of -8.6 degrees Celsius as possible factors. Aviation specialist Keith Tonkin emphasized seatbelt use in reducing injuries. John Cox, an aviation safety expert, called the incident rare and suggested the missing right wing might have contributed. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada, with U.S. support, is analyzing flight data and cockpit recordings. Delta Airlines expressed relief that all 80 on board survived and pledged full cooperation in the investigation. This story is developing, and updates will follow as this news continues. In other news, a couple in Rawalpindi, Pakistan, has been arrested for allegedly torturing and killing their 13-year-old domestic worker, Iqra, after accusing her of stealing chocolates. The case has sparked national outrage, with the hashtag Justice for Iqra trending widely and reigniting discussions on child labor and the mistreatment of domestic workers. Iqra, who started working as a maid at the age of 8 due to her family's financial struggles, had been employed by the couple for 2 years, earning about £23.28 per month. Her father, Sanallah, a 45-year-old farmer, said he was devastated by her death. He recalled rushing to the hospital after receiving a police call, only to find his daughter unconscious. She died minutes later. Police reports indicate that Iqra had suffered severe injuries, including multiple fractures in her legs and arms, as well as a serious head wound. Images and videos obtained by the BBC further confirm evidence of repeated abuse. An autopsy is underway to determine the full extent of her injuries. Public reaction has been filled with grief and anger, with many condemning the brutal treatment of domestic workers. "She died over chocolate," one social media user questioned. Activist Cher Bono expressed her sorrow, asking, "How long will the poor continue to bury their daughters this way?" The arrested couple, Rashid Shafiq and his wife Sana, have been taken into custody along with their current teacher, who had brought Iqra to the hospital, but misinformed staff about her parents' whereabouts. Authorities are still investigating whether the teacher was aware of the true circumstances. Despite widespread outrage, cases of child abuse in Pakistan often go unpunished, as legal loopholes allow families to forgive suspects in exchange for financial compensation. In 2018, a judge and his wife were sentenced to 3 years in prison for abusing their 10-year-old maid, but later had their sentences reduced to just 1 year. According to UNICEF, approximately 3.3 million children in Pakistan engaged in child labor, while the International Labour Organization estimates that women and young girls make up the majority of the country's 8.5 million domestic workers. Iqra's father has vowed to seek justice for his daughter, but past cases suggest that accountability remains rare. The country now watches closely to see if this case will bring lasting change or if history will repeat itself. Thank you for watching KJTV News. We will keep you updated with the latest news.